So I'll just do a quick recap because whatever I teach today is going to be a follow-up of this. So let's do a quick recap so that all of us are on the same page. So yesterday I talked about the infinite square well potential. What it means is that the problem was such where between the region 0 to A there is a particle, and outside this region, that is before x equal to 0 and beyond x equal to a, the potential is infinity, and within 0 and a, the potential is 0. So in this region it is 0, and over here the potential is infinity. Okay, so obviously because the potential is infinity, if the particle is initially here, it cannot really go out of this potential because the potential is infinity. So there is no concept of quantum tunneling that comes here because it is infinite potential. All right. So that means that if there is no particle in the regions where the potential is infinity, so in those regions, the wave function that represents the particle is going to be 0. Okay, so we only care about the wave function of the particle within the region 0 to a. So the Schrodinger equation that we will solve is for the region 0 to a, and we are not really going to bother about the region beyond 0 to a because over there the wave function is 0 because the potential is infinite. All right, so uh, so then we solved this, Schrodinger equation for the region between 0 and a, and we obtained the solution. So the solution was in terms of sine and cos, and using the boundary conditions, we eliminated one of the solutions, right? As in one of the terms, we eliminated the cos term, and we were left with only the sine term. Okay, and then again using the boundary conditions, we got what is the argument of this sine term, and from there we have got the wave function. But the wave function has a coefficient in front of this sine function. So we need to find this coefficient. So the way that we found this coefficient was to do the normalization of the wave function. So once we normalized the wave function, we were able to get what a is, right? So a turned out to be root of 2 by a. So the wave function turned out to be square root of 2 by a into sine of n pi x by a. Okay, and from this, right, because we had specified k, which is the argument of the sine function, from this, and k is related to energy. So from this argument, this relation, we were able to get what is the energy of the particle, right? So energy turned out to be n square pi square h cross square by 2m a square. Okay, so this is the energy. So this is the energy of the nth level. For the first level, the energy is going to be 1 square pi square h cross square by 2m a square. Okay, so this was the energy. So we got the energy, we got the wave function, and because we know the complete wave function, we know everything that there is to know about the system. So we could, plot the wave function, right? So we plotted the wave function. So this is right. So this is psi of x versus x, right? I hope that is clear. I've forgotten to label this axis. I mean, I've labeled it from 0 to a, but this is obviously the x axis, and this the y axis here is the psi of x, the wave function. All right. So this is psi of x versus x, and you can see that at x equal to 0 and at x equal to a, the wave function will be 0, and within that it will follow a sine function. Okay, so for the first energy level, it is just a half sine function, you can say, and there are no nodes, right? Zero nodes, because the wave function does not become 0 anywhere between 0 and a. For psi 2, for the second energy level, the wave function uh, is the complete sine function, and there is one node in between, right? And for psi 3, again, there are two nodes in between, right? And again, you are just plotting the sine function for between 0 and a. Okay, so and again for psi 4, psi 5, it will keep following like that, all right? So this is the trend that it will follow. So if you know the wave function, you can also know the probability. You just have to, you do psi star psi, and that is your probability, right? So you can also get the probability, and that is something that I wanted you to plot. Okay, so that was your homework problem. All right. So this was our wave function in the case of one-dimensional box, right? Or in the case of infinite square well potential in one dimension. Okay. So sometimes the infinite square well potential is also known as a box. Okay, because the particle can't really go out of the box, so it's also known as a box. All right. So three things that you can notice here. One is that each energy level corresponds to only one of the wave functions, right? So for each energy level, you have for energy E1, you have n equal to 1. For E2, you have n equal to 2, and the wave function is different. So these are all non-degenerate energy levels, right? These are non-degenerate eigenstates, okay? That is one thing. Second thing that you will notice is that when the 0 point energy corresponds to the n equal to 1, then you have n minus 1 nodes for each of the energy levels or each of the eigenstates. So if for the first eigenstate n minus 1 means you'll have 0 nodes. For the second eigenstate n is 2, so n minus 1 means that you'll have 1 node and so on. Okay, so these are the things that you notice here. So, and also the energy levels are discrete, right? These are not, so the energy levels are, right, this is your energy level, n square h cross square by pi square, n square h cross square into pi square by 2ma square. So the energy can take only certain values, which corresponds to this kind of values. So these are discrete energy levels, these are not continuous. So these are the three things that you notice from here. And also the minimum energy or the first energy level corresponds to n equal to 0. And that goes into the concept of, that comes from the concept of 0 point energy, right? So that we have already discussed yesterday. All right. Then similarly, we also looked at what happens if the potential is symmetric. This was the case when the potential is asymmetric, because the potential goes from 0 to a. In the case when the potential is symmetric, that is when the potential goes from minus a to a or minus a by 2 to a by 2, as in this case, then since the potential is symmetric, your wave function, the solution that you get for the Schrodinger equation, the wave function will correspond to either an odd function or an even function. So so you'll alternatively get sine function, then cos function, then sine function, then cos function, like that, right? So that's what you are getting here. That's what we have seen here. So first you get cos function for n equal to 1, then for n equal to 2, you get a sine function. Then for n equal to 3, you get a cos function. N equal to 4, you get a sine function. It keeps alternating like that. Okay. So this is your solution. All right. So this is the point where we stopped yesterday. And now let's move on to something similar. But now the potential is not going to be finite. All right. Sorry, now the potential is not going to be infinite, it is going to be finite. Okay, so the potential is finite. So there is a finite potential V naught, okay, between for x less than minus a by 2, and a potential V naught for x greater than a by 2. And between minus a by 2 and a by 2, there is a zero potential. Okay, so potential is 0. All right, so this is where we start today. So consider a particle of mass m moving in the following symmetric potential. So obviously this is a symmetric potential, right? Because the potential is between minus a by 2 to a by 2 to 0, and in other places it is V naught. Okay, so this is obviously a symmetric potential along the x-axis, right? Okay. So this is the diagram. So now obviously if E is greater than V naught, okay, if E is greater than V naught, then what will happen? Okay, then again there will be three regions, right? Region 1, region 2, region 3. Okay, so if E is greater than V naught, can someone tell me what will be the wave function in region 1 in this region? Can someone guess? Because we have done such problems earlier, right? Where E is greater than V naught or something. Please guess. Yeah, just make a guess. Make an intuitive guess from whatever we've learned so far. Anyone? Right, this is the diagram. Okay. Now please make a guess and tell me what is the wave function in region 1. Come on, somebody can. Yeah.
Energy is less than V naught or greater than V naught?
Energy is greater than V naught. Okay. Okay, if energy is greater than V naught, what will the Schrodinger equation look like in terms of K1 and K2 or something like that? Can you tell me? Let's say, if energy is greater than V naught, you will have E minus V naught in this region, right?
Yeah, E minus V naught will be complex.
Exactly. So it will be complex. So you'll get a complex wave function, right? Okay. All right. This we have learned earlier, right? So basically, this is going to be your wave function. So when E is greater than V naught, you are going to have a Schrodinger equation, which will look like d square by dx square plus k1 square into psi of x is equal to 0, right? That will be your wave function. And k1 square is going to be 2m into E minus V naught, right? By x.
So it will have, ma'am, 3 regions, no, ma'am?
Yes, it will have 3 regions, region 1, region 2, region 3. So I was asking for region 1. So in region 1, the energy will be E minus V naught, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there is a potential here and the particle is coming with some energy E, which is greater than V naught. So the energy will become, the effective energy is going to become E minus V naught. Okay. In region 2, the particle again has energy E. So what is the energy of the particle in region 2? It's just E. And in region 3, what happens? What is the energy, effective energy of the particle again here?
E minus V naught.
E minus V naught. Okay. So this is what we like. This is similar to what we have done earlier. Okay. So if you just now let's go back and see the diagram. That's why I'm not solving the Schrodinger equation. Okay. This kind of thing we have already done. So I want you to you should be able to write down the Schrodinger equation for each of the 3 regions and see what will happen. Okay. Because we have already done it. Okay, so in region 1, you will get the Schrodinger equation will be of the form d squared by dx square plus k1 square into psi of x, right? I hope you're following it. And in region, so if you solve that Schrodinger equation, you'll get the solution a e power ik1x plus b e power minus ik1x. So this is like the incident wave, reflected wave, right? Then in region 2, the energy is E. So again, you'll solve it. So you'll get, so because the energy is different now, so you're representing it by K2. So the solution that you'll get will be C e power ik2x plus D e power minus ik2x. Okay. And then in region 3, if you solve the Schrodinger equation, you'll again get 2 terms, G e power ik1x plus D e power minus ik1x, right? But G e power ik1x plus H e power minus ik1x, right? Some other constant. So the e power minus ik1x will not be there, right? That term will not be there because reflection is not happening from the minus negative side. Okay, that's the whole concept there. So you will have only one term. Okay, so this is similar to what we have already done, right? This we have done in the unbound state, what the energy level will be, how the wave function will look like. This we have already done. So I want you to go back and try to understand this from the previous lectures. Okay, because this is exactly same as the already solved example. All right. Okay. So I'm not doing this. So, but from here you can kind of make a guess as to what will be the probability for each region. In each region, what the probability function will look like. So if you plot P of x versus x, then what the probability will look like in each region, that you can guess, right? In this region, it will be what will it be in this region? Can someone tell me?
Constant.
Constant, exactly. In this region, it will be a constant. In this region?
Cos function.
Cos function. In this region?
It also have cost
Cos,
function.
exactly. So that's right. So cos function, constant, right? That will be your probability, P of x versus x. All right. So now, so this is not such an interesting case because this problem is kind of we have already solved, right? All right. So now we'll go to case 2, okay, which is 0 less than E less than V naught. Okay. So here what we are saying is that the energy is less than V naught. So this is the energy. So again, if the energy is less than V naught, okay, then for the region between minus a by 2 and a by 2, because this is a symmetric potential, just like we had in the infinite square well potential, again we will have either a sine x is either a sine function or a cos function, okay, because this is a symmetric potential, so you will have alternatively sine function, cos function, sine function, cos function, like that. You'll have it alternatively. Okay, so that is going to be your wave function solution here. Okay, and but now energy is less than V naught. So classically, this particle should not go beyond the boundary, but this is a quantum mechanical problem, right? It's a quantum particle, so there will be a tunneling. Okay, so the tunneling will be such that in this region also it will tunnel from here to here, and in this region also it will tunnel. Okay, so it will go beyond the boundary even though energy is less than V naught. Okay, so the tunneling effect will come in here. So in this region, okay, because energy is less than V naught, so when you write down the Schrodinger equation, okay, I think I've written it down. So let's go through. Okay, so classically what will happen, the particle will just bounce back and forth within these walls, and then it will just stay within these walls, right? That's what will happen. But according to quantum mechanics, the picture is obtained by solving the Schrodinger equation in the three regions. And of course, if you use the boundary conditions to solve and everything, you will see that there is some tunneling happening in the other two regions. That is beyond V naught. Okay, that's what we looked at. So let's, if you solve it, what you will get is in the first region, right? You are going to have d square by dx square minus k1 square into psi 1x. Okay. Okay, so in the first region, you are going to have E is less than V naught. So you need to make sure that K1 square is a positive term. And so you will get minus here. Okay, this we have already seen in the previous one. Okay, so this is what you'll get. So the solution for this will be in terms of A e power plus K1x and B e power minus K1x, something like that, right? Then in the second region, we have only E, energy E, because here anyway V naught is 0. So the energy of the particle is just E. So the Schrodinger equation will take this form, d square by dx square plus k2 square into psi 2 of x equal to 0. Okay. And in the third region, again the energy is less than V naught. So we are going to have d square by dx square minus k1 square into psi 3 of x. Okay, in the third region. So for the first region, right, you are solving this equation. So the solution of this equation is A e power k1x plus B e power minus k1x. Okay. Now I am neglecting this term. Can someone tell me why I am neglecting this term or why I am putting this term to 0? Okay. Here you see I've written only one term, even though the solution that we got has two terms. Okay, A e power k1x plus B e power minus k1x. But here I'm writing only A e power k1x, which means the second term I have put it to 0. Right? There must be a reason why I put it to 0.
Because ma'am, if we put large negative value, then it will increase, ma'am.
Yes.
Means if we put minus infinite, then it will goes to minus infinity.
Yeah, then it will go to plus infinity, no? Because that in that side, okay.
Yes.
So in this side, it is negative x region, right? So negative x. So if we have minus k1x and x is negative, right? Then it will become, so minus k1x, x is negative. So if x is minus infinity, this term will diverge. Okay, this term will become infinity, but the wave function has to be some finite quantity. It cannot really be infinity. Okay, it shouldn't diverge. So we set the coefficient b to be 0. So in the first region, we have only psi1 of x equal to this term. Now second region is solved in the same manner as we did for the symmetric infinite potential well. So we'll get either sine function or cos function alternatively. So that is fine. Now in the third region, again we are supposed to get two terms, right? So what is the third region? Region 2 and then region 3. Region 3, again we get two terms, right? G e power minus k1x plus h e power k1x. But this term we again neglect or we put it to 0 because otherwise if h is not 0, then it will diverge at x equal to infinity. So again this term we set to, this h we set to 0 so that this term becomes 0. Alright. So psi 3 of x is again g into e power minus k1x. Okay. So alright. So this is our, yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Ma'am, for the particular region, you are considering a particular kind of a consideration to calculate it. But suppose the energy barrier was removed and all the three regions become a kind of finite well, then what happened?
Then it is, then anyway, you are going to get.
So at the time of when you remove the energy barrier, the probability would be the same in all type of region, right?
So you are saying if it is V naught everywhere.
Yeah.
Is that your question? So
Yeah,
if it is V naught everywhere, then if E is, then it will behave like a free particle essentially. Just that you will have. Because then it just the zero shifts to this point, then there is no difference, right? Here the zero is just shifting over here, essentially. So your energy of the particle is basically E minus V naught, and then it behaves like a free particle, right? Because everywhere it is the same potential. There is no change in potential, so there is not going to be any reflection, transmission, that kind of an effect that we are seeing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so this you got for the three regions, you have got the wave functions, okay? So obviously if you want to solve it further, you have to, use the boundary conditions to get all the coefficients and all of that. But like we will not bother with that right now, but obviously now you know how to use the boundary conditions, right? You have to basically set that the wave functions in the two regions have to be equal, and the derivative of the wave functions in the two regions also have to be equal at this point as well as at this point, right? So those are your boundary conditions. Using those boundary conditions, you can obviously solve for the coefficients. You have 4 boundary conditions and you have 4 constants that you need to solve for. Okay, so those things you can solve, but we're not going to really go into that because now you know what needs to be done. So what we'll go through is we'll look at the important aspects here. Okay, so here you can see that the wave function is exponentially decaying function in the region 3. Okay, there is a quantum tunneling effect, and in region 1 also it is. If you consider that, because this is in the negative x direction, it is essentially decaying function. Okay, so in both the regions there is quantum tunneling happening. Okay, but now if you compare it to the infinite square well potential, what we said was in the other two regions, beyond the 0 to a region or beyond minus a by 2 to a by 2 region, there is wave function is completely 0. But in this case, where the potential is finite, wave function is not completely 0 in the outside regions, right? So that is the difference between the two. So if you plot the wave function, so if you now compare, let's compare infinite square well potential versus finite square well potential for E less than V naught. Okay, in this case, if you see, so in the case of infinite square well potential, the wave function became completely 0 outside the region, right? But here it is not completely 0, it is a exponentially decaying function. So this is how you will get it. So there will be some wave function, some probability of obtaining the particle or finding the particle outside a by 2 and outside minus a by 2 as well. Okay. Similarly, for the second, so this is the first wave function for E equal to 1, energy equal to, for energy equal to E1, right? The first energy level. Then for second energy level, again you have some spillover outside the region. Then for third energy level, again you have some spillover outside the region. Okay, please draw better diagrams. I have not been able to draw better diagrams, but you get the point, right? So basically there will be some quantum tunneling effect outside the region for the finite potential case. For the infinite potential case, there is no quantum tunneling happening because the potential is infinity. So basically the particle cannot really go out of the box. Okay, all right. So now what I wanted to do is I wanted to plot and compare P of x versus x for the infinite square well potential and the finite square well potential for this kind of a symmetric potential case. Okay, so this is your homework. So you just have to make the plots. You don't have to really do more than that. Just make the plots and compare see what are the differences between the plots. Okay, so is this clear? Right, because this is an important concept. Okay, in many times, for example, during our PhD interviews, we always ask this kind of a question in quantum mechanics. What happens if the potential is infinity? What happens if the potential is not infinity and the particle is within the box? And so you need to understand why this quantum tunneling is happening. Okay, and so if you start from the Schrodinger equation and apply the boundary conditions and all of that, you will be able to answer such questions. Okay. All right. So now we move on to another small problem, which is again a extension of the problem that we have already seen. So we have already seen the infinite square potential well in 1 dimensions, right? So what now we'll do is we'll just look at it in 3 dimensions. I'm not going to derive it completely. If you are interested, the derivation is in the book, but I'll just highlight the main points. Okay. All right, because the differences between the two needs to be highlighted. Otherwise, everything is the same. But whatever the differences are between 1 dimension and 3 dimension, that we need to understand, like why those differences are happening. Okay, so that is something that I need to highlight. So if it is a 3-dimensional box, it means that the particle is trapped in three directions, right? X, Y, and Z direction. Okay, so let's draw. So particle is inside this box basically. Okay, and the potential outside this box is infinity. So the particle basically cannot go outside the box. So the wave function that represents the particle outside the box is going to be 0. But inside the box, the wave function will have a certain form of the function. Okay, all right. So the way that you right, so particle is confined in a 3-dimensional space of finite region. V of x, y, z outside this region is infinity. So V of x, y, z inside the box is 0. So inside the box, the particle has energy E, and outside the box, the particle does not exist at all. Okay. So inside the region, what is the region? Region is 0 less than x less than a, 0 less than y less than b, and 0 less than z less than c. So this is the region. Inside this region, potential is 0, and outside this region, potential is infinity. So this is our setup of the problem. Okay. So what we do again, outside this region, since the wave function is 0, so we are not really going to bother about outside the region. Inside the region, we have to solve the Schrodinger equation. Now this is a 3-dimensional problem, so we have to write down the Schrodinger equation, which is in 3 dimensions. So you will have dou square by dou x square plus dou square by dou y square plus dou square by dou z square. All these three, like you have to represent it in 3 dimensions. Okay, and this is nothing but your Laplacian, right? Your Laplacian operator. Okay, so minus h cross square by 2m into del square psi is equal to E psi. So this is the Schrodinger equation that you need to solve. Okay. So like I've already said, outside the box, since the potential is infinity, so the wave function outside the box is going to be 0. Okay, so we have to solve for 1 and get the wave function psi. So in order to solve 1, so solving 1 is not easy, right? As you can see, there are 3 dimensions. How do we solve it? Okay, so we make a simple assumption. So a simple assumption that we make is that we assume that the wave function psi, which is in 3 dimensions, is actually a product of 3 wave functions, each representing the individual dimensions. Okay, so basically it is a product of f of x into g of y into h of z. So this is the wave function. So what essentially we are saying is that x, y, and z, they can be separated into the 3 variables, right? They are not like, the wave function is not such that it is x plus y or something like that, okay? So it is basically f of x, g of y, and h of z. So these are the 3 separate products, separate functions which you can combine into a product, and that can be represented. So this is called a separation of variables. So we are assuming that the wave function has separation of variables in terms of x, y, and z. Okay. So even though we say that this is some assumption that we are making in order to solve the problem very easily, but the point is that it has been proved later on that using this assumption, the solution that we get using this assumption is the only solution that you will get even if you do not make this assumption. Okay, so this has been proved because when you make, even if you make this assumption, you still have to satisfy the 3 boundary conditions, right? There are 3 boundaries, right? And you still have to satisfy those boundary conditions. So if you don't satisfy those boundary conditions, then the solution, the wave function will not be a valid solution. So you have to satisfy the boundary condition. And if you satisfy the boundary conditions, this is the only kind of solution that you will get. Okay. So basically what we do is now we substitute this second equation into the first equation, and then we solve for x, for psi of, for f of x, g of y, and h of z. So I'm not going to go through the solution. If you're interested, you can look into the book, but these are the main concepts here, that these are the assumptions that are used. So finally, after solving everything using the boundary conditions and all of that, finally you get these as the solutions. So f of x is nothing but root of 2 by a into sine nx pi x by a. Okay. So here we are just differentiating nx, ny, and nz from each other. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult. We shouldn't keep all of them to be the same n. Okay. So f of x is root of 2 by a sine nx pi x by a. G of y is a function of sine ny pi y by b, and h of z is sine nz pi z by c. Okay, so these are your 3 individual wave functions, and the product of these 3 is going to give you the actual wave function. Okay, so we have got the wave function, and what are the energies? Energies also look similar to what we have solved in the one-dimensional case. So energy in the x direction is nx square h cross square by 2ma square. Energy in the y direction is ny square h cross square by 2mb square. Energy in the z direction is nz square h cross square by 2mc square. Okay, so
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah,
Can you go back one page?
yes,
So f of x is equal to root over of 2 by a.
yeah.
So g of y will be root over of 2 by b, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, there is a typo. Thank you for noticing it. Yes, it should be 2 by b, and this should be 2 by c. Okay, please correct it when you're reading it. Yes, thank you for pointing out. This was a very important mistake, or very, anyway. So while writing, I just wrote everything as 2 by a, which should not be the case. It should be root of 2 by b, and here it should be root of 2 by c. Okay. All right. So ex, ey, ez again you will get. And so here I've written correctly somehow. Anyway. So if you combine all of this, you'll get square root of 8 by abc, and then sine function of x, and function of y, and function of z. Okay. So this is similar. Again, this constant has been obtained by normalization, right? So like just like you do normalization in one-dimensional case, In one-dimensional case, the integration is only over one dimension, so over x. But now you have integration over 3 dimensions, dx, dy, dz. So that you have to take into account. So if you do this integration, you're going to get 1. Okay, so this is your normalization and this is how you do it. Again, remember the particle is inside a box of region from 0 to A, 0 to B, 0 to C. So that's why even though the actual formula for normalization is from -infinity to infinity, but the wave function is 0 outside the region. So when you're integrating, you only have to consider from 0 to A, 0 to B, and 0 to C. Okay, this is your normalization. Now we'll just look at a small kind of a side thing. Now suppose that here, up to here, we have done it for the general case where A, B, and C are all different, right? But suppose that A is equal to B equal to C, okay? In that case, basically all sides are equal. So all sides of the box are of equal length. In that case, the wave function will simplify to this, right? 8 by a cube power half into sine nx pi x by a, sine ny pi y by a, and into sine nz pi z by a. Okay, so this will become your wave function. And your energy will become nx square plus ny square plus nz square into h cross square by 2n a square. So this is your total energy. Okay, so now there is one important concept. Now suppose nx, ny, and nz, all three are 1. Okay, so basically you are looking at the first energy level. Okay, let's say all three are 1 because n can only take integer values, right? Integer meaning the positive integer values, either 1, 2, 3, etc. So if you take n to be 1, all three n's to be 1, then you'll get E1, which is equal to 3h cross square by 2n a square, right? This is your first energy level, your 0 point energy. Okay, if you take n to be now 2, nx to be 2, and ny 1, and nz 1, or you can make a different permutation combination of it. You can take 1, 2, 1 or 1, 1, 2. These all represent the second energy level. Okay, so the second energy level will be E2 will be 6h cross square by 2n a square. Okay, so now if you notice, all these three states have the same energy. Okay, even though so either nx can take 2 or ny can take 2 or nz can take 2, but all three have the same energy. Okay, which means that these three states are called degenerate states because they have the same eigenvalue, right? Energy is an eigenvalue, it is an observation, and so it is an eigenvalue. So if the eigenvalue is same, then obviously, but you have three states corresponding to the same eigenvalue, it means that the states are degenerate. Okay, it means they have the same energy. Okay, so these are your degenerate. So there are three degenerate states here. Again, similarly, if you now do 2, 2, 1 or 2, 1, 2 or 1, 2, 2, the E3, the third energy level is going to be 9h cross square by 2m a square. So again, you have three states with the same energy. So there are, so these are again three degenerate states. And you can keep going further, right? You can make now 2, 2, 2. So if nx, ny, nz all are 2, then how many states will you have with the same energy?
1.
1. So that is not a degenerate state. That is just a single state, right? Okay. So this will be a combination of some degenerate states and some non-degenerate states, right? Like for the different energy levels. Okay. So this is the main difference between the particle in a three-dimensional box and particle in one-dimensional box. In one-dimensional box, all the energy levels, they were not degenerate. Right, meaning that all of the eigenfunctions were non-degenerate, right? Now, you didn't get even 2 or 3 eigenfunctions with the same energy, right? They were all non-degenerate for the one-dimensional box. In three-dimensional box, you can get degenerate eigenstates. Okay, so this is the main difference between the 1D box and a 3D box. Okay, and obviously now that you know the function, you can obviously plot the wave function versus x, you can plot the probability versus x and so on, so versus x, y, z, right? Wave function versus x, y, z and so on. Okay, but this is the main difference between the two kind of problems. So I have told you one-dimensional box, three-dimensional box, but you can imagine that the two-dimensional box will also be solved in the same way, right? If it is only x and y direction, right? It will be solved in a similar manner, and you can work out whether you get degenerate states or non-degenerate states, right? What is the combination that you will get? Okay, so that is something that you can think about it yourself. So I will stop here. Any questions up to this point? Okay. All right. Yes, Paras, yeah, I think, yeah, you had given the right answer. All right. So I think, so this is where, so up to this point is what will be covered in your quiz.